Hello my friends, this is Lindy. Welcome to another Friday Reads. It is June 10th today and I have a whole bunch of books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 books to tell you about. First off, bookish things. I had a YA book club meeting earlier this week. We always do 2 books, and one of them was The Great Bear by David Robertson. I actually talked about that one in a previous Friday Reads back on May 30th. It was a Saturday, and it was all Indigenous books. So I'll link to that video below if you're interested. And the other book that we talked about is a verse novel, and I'll be talking about that one later on. In this video, I am saving the best for last, as usual. Plus, if you want to stick around, I have a short little clip tour of my garden at the end. So, first up, How High We Go in the Dark. This is a collection of interconnected short stories written by Sequoia Nagamatsu, who's a Japanese-American writer. And it starts in about 2030 and then goes forward hundreds of years into the future. There's a virus, a plague, and each story stands alone, but there's really cool connections between the stories too. I love interconnected short stories, and this one is really well done. I read one picture book, and this one is a traditional story retold, the story of Sedna, the goddess of the sea or the mother of the sea. Although the name Sedna isn't used in this, it's originally written in Greenlandic by Maliaraq, Vebaek, and the illustrator is also Greenlandic, Hoegh. It was translated by Kristina Lynge and published in Canada by Inhabit Media, Inuit publisher in the Northwest Territories. And the artwork is gorgeous. So, Mother of the Sea, in order for the shaman to reach her, the shaman's an old woman, she has to go through quite an adventure, including being eaten by both a walrus and a polar bear, and then pooped out, and then that's how she's able to get down to the bottom of the ocean. It's a wild and crazy story. And another one in visual format. This one is for adults, The Third Population, and it was written by Aurelien, Ducoudray, and illustrated by Pourquie, and the translation to English is by Kendra Boileau. Kendra is also the editor-in-chief at Penn University State Press, where this was published. She does do translations from French to English in graphic novels. This is part of the graphic medicine series that they do there. On Goodreads, this title shows that the translator is Jeremy Malloul, who does also translate French to English, but his name appears nowhere in the credits in the book, so I'm not sure why that is there on Goodreads. Anyway, I heard about this on the YouTube channel Graphically Speaking, and if you love graphic novels, you should check out Nicholas and their channel because it's all visual. They have the camera above and then flip through the book and talk about it, so you can see what the layout looks like. I'll just give you a quick look. There are sort of sepia monotone pages like this. And then there are also some that are in full color, especially when the emotion really strikes. Or little spots of color like there. Very attractive book. And what's it about? It's nonfiction. It is about a psychotherapy institute in France called La Chenée. That's been going since 1956, and the residents and caregivers all live together, and all look out. Everyone is looking out for each other. So when this duo, who are doing that graphic nonfiction, travel there to give a workshop, you know, they say, how do you know who's a patient and you know, who's on staff? And they're told, you have to talk to people to find out. It is a really cool situation. So I highly recommend this. Moth. This is by Amber McBride, an African-American writer. And this is her debut for YA. And so this is the second book that we had in our YA book club. Somebody there had a copy that had 4 stickers. She showed it up at she lifted it up at the Zoom meeting so we could see. We were all mystified. So 8 of us were at the meeting. One opened it up and saw that it was in verse and said, no, I'm not reading that. 2 of us love verse novels, like me. I was so disappointed. The other person who loves verse novels is a poetry editor. She actually has a poetry publishing house. And yeah, we were not only disappointed, but really surprised at the acclaim. And everybody said the same thing. What is it about this book? It's okay. It's not that it's really bad, but none of us thought that it was particularly good either. It's about 2 17-year-olds. One's African-American, and she's the only survivor of a car crash that killed the rest of her family. And the other one is Navajo, and he's got an unhappy situation after his parents divorced. And so the 2 of them go on a road trip from Virginia to the Navajo Nation. So there's the road trip. We thought maybe you really need to be American to appreciate this story. Otherwise, you know, what to say about it? It really leans hard on the caterpillar into a moth metaphor. The final 25 pages are really good. The poetry itself, there are some doozies. Okay, like, why do I feel like the dust of your name is buried in my bones? And the 2 main characters are writing a song in here, and this is one of the lyrics. I have found that the whites of your bones are so lovely, they should be carved into piano keys. So if you like that kind of writing, Moth is the book for you. If you're looking for poetry that is superb, I recommend Rita Dove. Playlist for the Apocalypse. This is her most recent collection. It's been quite a while since she had a book out, more than a dozen years, I think. And she is a former poet laureate in the USA, so deserving of her high acclaim. There are lots of references to music in here, and she's just got such a wide range of topics. There is one section that's all from the voice of a spring cricket, and another section about illness. I liked both of those sections a lot, but I think my favorite was the spring cricket. I will read you a very brief poem from that section to give you a taste. It has a long title. The Spring Cricket's Grievance, Little Outburst. Tired of singing for someone else. Tired of rubbing my thighs to catch your ear. When the sky falls tonight, I'll stand on my one green leaf, and it will be my time, my noise, my ecstasy. Playlist for the apocalypse, I read it of. I listened to 2 audiobooks this week, and one of them was Girly Drinks, A World History of Women and Alcohol by Mallory O'Meara, and she also narrated the audio. I think she did a good job. Her style of writing is conversational, and so I think she interprets that quite well in her audio, but to me it sounds like she had way too much coffee. But I really like the content. Very interesting. She starts out in Paleolithic times. She talks about ancient Sumer, the Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, and then all the way up to Prohibition times and tiki bars and all the many women around the world now who are master brewers. So a whole gamut of very feminist look at women and drinking alcohol and making alcoholic beverages. And the other audiobook that I listened to was one read to me by Sean the Boot Maniac, Woman Running in the Mountains. It is by Yuko Tsushima, translated by Geraldine Harcourt. And there were many interesting asides from the audiobook narrator about life in Japan, which I totally appreciated. The story is set in 1970s Tokyo, and the main character is an unwed mother. She's quite young, early 20s. Very character-based novel with gorgeous prose, lots of passages describing light. And the woman is someone who's really determined to go her own way, and I was rooting for her the whole time. Here's an example of the writing. If writing is what draws you into a novel, listen to this. The vivid young ginkgo leaves enfolded her in their brightness. She half closed her eyes. She had the feeling that her whole body was taking on the transparent color of their play of light. My ginkgo tree is just coming into leaf now, and I've included a little clip in the video that I have at the end. You can think about these lines when you watch that if you wish. Last up, my favorite book of the week, Run Towards the Danger, subtitled Confrontations with a Body of Memory. It's by Sarah Polley, who is a Canadian screenwriter, director, and actor. There are 6 personal essays in here. I enjoyed every single one of them. One of them really got me riled up. It was about her sexual assault by Jan Gomeshi when she was much younger, and she talks about why she was not one of the women who came forward during that trial. The final essay is about her experience with a concussion, and I wept all the way through it. She had a much harder time than I did, but I did not realize how much emotion I still had over this brain injury that I experienced, and I could just really identify with Sarah Polley writing about it. So, highly recommend Run Towards the Danger. So that's it for my Friday reads. Zip zip through them all. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you think of them, and especially I'm interested in what you thought of me, Moth, if you are one of the readers who really loved it. I shall see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
I'm going to give you just a short little tour of some of my garden as it's blooming. There's the Solomon seal. Loves it in the shade under the Amacherry. And here is my avant-garde peony. I think this will open today. This is the first of my hybrid peonies to open in the summer. The avant-garde. Part of the reason why I love it so much is because it's so early. And it's beautiful too. It's kind of a smoky pink. And what else can I show you? There's the beautiful leaves of the Katsura tree. Beautify them. Hoegh is just starting to open. And here's an old lilac. When I planted this, it was tagged as a Charles Joly, which is a really dark purple color. Took 3 years to bloom, and then I found out it's definitely not a Charles Joly. Of course, it was too late to do anything about it by then. What can you do? Daylily is going to open soon. And there's the Virginia. Common names for this plant are elephant ear and also pig squeak. There's the reason why. Alliums are just starting to bloom. You can see chives in the distance there. They're all in bud form. They're actually really good at that stage to eat. I want to eat the blossoms. Hey, hello, Joni. And now is when the cranesbill geraniums really come into their own. This particular type is called big root geranium, and that's the usual color, that sort of medium pink. But they've been hybridizing in my garden, and so I've got some really light ones and some dark ones. I love the mix, and I love the scent of the leaves as well. It's kind of resinous. Here's the grapevine, which is just about to bloom as well. Got lots of flowers on it, or flower buds, I should say. And now I'm going to take you to the other peonies. Hang on. So these are woodland peonies. I didn't lie when I said the avant-garde peony was the first of the hybrids to bloom, because these are a species peony. They haven't been hybridized. Aren't they adorable? And I've got a ginkgo tree just above them with the leaves starting to come out. Such a pretty color. Love my little ginkgo. Well, little ginkgo, it's right up to the eaves. And it's about 35 years old. Here are those avant-garde peonies. They've opened. Aren't they beauties? Love them. And this down here is yellow archangel. It's a kind of lamium, and one of its common names is yellow weasel snout. This is the hawthorn crimson cloud, just starting to open. A few days after I made that earlier segment in my garden, and the chives are blooming. Look at the walking onion making a gorgeous little curl. And here's the last little tour of my garden. This is actually my view from the kitchen sink window. You can see it's pretty windy out there, so I decided not to do my Friday reads outdoors. I have got a little vase of lily of the valley on the counter. In Edmonton, lily of the valley blooms in early June instead of beginning of May like it does in France. But there you have it. Thanks for watching my little tour of the garden.